All right, let's get into part two. Hopefully you watched the first part and taken a nice long break from me and my voice, and my mug. Some of the stuff I haven't updated yet. We haven't been given the master syllabus yet for faculty to fill out. So that link isn't up and running by the time you watch this. That's okay. That's normal. All right. Set up and share your Google Drive College Comp 2 folder. Now, I imagine this goes out. I'm talking to most of you who had me last semester. You don't have to create a new folder. All you have to do is create a Comp2 folder within the folder you already have shared with me, which is your last name, comma, your first name. I'm really amping this up and trying to be clear because I had a lot of trouble with this last year, last spring semester, where people were creating on brand new folders, and I had like duplicate, sometimes triplicate folders of your last name, comma, your first name. I want just to work with the same old one. I just create a Comp2 folder within your master folder and you'll be fine. All right, this should look familiar to many of you. We have a personal introduction sheet. So can I get you to experiment with URL shorteners a little bit? Can you try to run down a bit.ly link for your presentation? Now I don't think I need to present myself yet. I haven't updated the pictures of my kids, Christmas pictures and stuff. So I will though, and so I look forward to seeing how you update yours as well. And again, kind of similar to last semester, I had a lot of people not share their personal introductions correctly. So just make sure you do that right. If you have any questions, just ask me. Okay. Ditto here with my guide to writing. It should look familiar. It's the same Medium post that I give all of my students. It's just like a rundown of all the things that I prefer you know and apply. Number one must be, the first most important one being get that word you out of your life. Get it out of my life. All right. So let's talk about invention journals. Now I have not updated each and every one of these yet because I like to reconsider them from semester to semester. But in general, invention journals are meant to either help you build a body of work toward your larger essay assignments, or it's meant to get you thinking in certain ways in terms of like orienting you towards answers that will be beneficial to you down the road. Okay, so you have one due this week. Now you're going to see this a lot in here. A word limit and a time limit. I'm very much interested in you generating some content that isn't just written content for this class. We have a lot more wiggle room for creativity and how we can complete assignments this semester, and so we would be crazy not to take advantage of them, I would think. So if you want to create an online slideshow, if you want to create a video using Screencast-O-Matic like this, boy, I am all for that, and your name will stick out in a really good way. Here, let me go big screen here. If you take me up on my challenges to create digital content in some way that isn't merely a Google Doc or, God forbid, a Microsoft Word document, your name goes on a list, and that's a list you want to be on because you may want a little extra time on something, and I'll be like, oh, well, they did make a video for me, or they did create that online slideshow, and that was very nice of them, because it's not the hardest thing in the world to snap off 750 words, starting at 8 o'clock an hour before an assignment's due. But so if you take the time to like create something that's like digitized in nature, well, that's just going to be a little more work, and it's going to go a long way in terms of what I think you're capable of as a student and how willing I would be to work just as hard for you. And that work hard can take many different forms. It can take the form of creating some other assignment last, right? So anyway, you're going to see a lot of those, right, later on too. So these are just like, I call it initial thoughts about tech and College Comp 2. These are very sort of boilerplatey questions that you can answer each one to your own satisfaction, as long as you kind of hit the bare minimum here. So, what role does digital technology play in your life? Maybe I'll say personal digital technology. Editing and action, lucky you. What devices do you use and how often? What's the role of, so sort of look inward and also look outward. So what's like your relationship to technology, and what is like, America's or, our society, whatever, culture. And then any questions you have about Comp 2 that I can help clear up, like right off the bat, I would rather do that now than later. And then you're going to have a invention journal folder. I didn't get into that with the with this assignment with the Google Doc, creating the subfolders, but you'll have an invention journal folder, and I will find it in there. since you use this personal writing, I won't make like a big spreadsheet for you to post it to. Okay, and if we just want to skim for a second here, you're gonna very soon, I'll talk about that here in a second, you're going to choose a place or a group to observe. And, excuse me, you're going to take notes. And so you're going to show me those notes for Invention Journal 2. For Invention Journal 3, you're going to create a tech diary. You're going to chart your technology use for a 24-hour period. Or if you choose to tweak the assignment in some kind of interesting way, then you'll chart your usage in that way as well. Like if you want to, cut meat out of your diet, well, how much meat, do you consume in a day, that sort of thing. All right, then you'll keep a log. Then sometimes it'll be for the research project. It'll be like topic exploration, annotated bib, I think falls under this. So anyway, you'll have to complete Invention Journal 1 this week. I didn't say the due date, but yeah, 9 a.m. Monday. Get used to those 9 a.m. Monday due dates. They're not going anywhere. Reader response assignment it looks very similar. I mean, I can click on it if you'd like, but it's, I try to keep them kind of consistent across the board in my classes because I think it's broad enough that it's hitting the major beats of a reader response type of assignment, but it's also specific enough that you have to do a fairly narrow type of thinking in order to accomplish them correctly. So I'm always adding to this nice long list of like how to sort of orient you towards the types of ideas that we're going to be thinking and talking about and writing about this semester. So this is just where it's at right now. So I have like, what, 22, 23 articles posted here. I'll add a few more once I have a chance to sit down and do that. And you'll pick one and respond to it. If you want to respond to something else, just share the link with me. As long as it's sort of, academically rigorous in a way that we can both agree on, no problem. All right, with me so far, take a break. We're about halfway. Okay, so Essay 1's assignment, I feel like speaks for itself. Cut the break. Okay, so observing technology use. And again, I'm not going to keep saying this over and over, but if you want to observe something else, just initiate a dialogue with me. If you want to keep it nice and comfortable for now, this is the sort of the path of least resistance, is to also, do the things that I'm teaching. If you want to tweak it and make it your own, again, I'm open to a dialogue. So you're going to observe one or the other, a community or a location, and you're going to observe the kinds of personal digital devices that people use either as a part of that group or in that location. Okay, so you're going to carefully choose a community. You're going to take detailed field notes. You're going to create what's called a thick description of those field notes. And then you're going to take what you have and you're going to develop an argumentative agenda. Okay, well, let me go big screen, just right off the bat. The point of this assignment is not for you to tell me the story of your observation. I'd say 2.5 out of 10 of you are never going to get that. And I'm going to flunk you. I have to do it every semester. It's not my fault. It's your fault for not listening to me right now and the 20 other places I put that. The goal of this assignment, of this essay, when you turn it in for a final draft grade, is not to tell me the story of your observation. Well, I got to the mall at noon and I took notes and I saw this and I saw that and then I went home. The end. That is not an essay. That is a report. Okay, so the goal is to take what you observe and apply it to a larger argument. I'm going to say that a lot of times in a lot of different ways. Never too soon and never too often for my money's worth. That. Okay, so some people observe a community. How you want to define that community is up to you. It's a group of people that commune at a place in order to usually do a job or complete a service or to participate in a common interest or a common goal. You can also consider it like work groups, if you want to observe people working at a location, fine. I'd say a solid 85 to 90% of people choose a location to observe, and I do feel like that is a pretty clear path to success because then you don't have to worry about the goals of the community as much. You can just focus on, people go to the mall for what? For shopping, for hanging out, right? Some people for exercise. People go to the library, to sometimes get books, sometimes read them there, sometimes to borrow a laptop or get online, sometimes it's to make copies, but there's a sort of a finite number of purposes for people to walk into a library or to walk into a restaurant or to walk into any other sort of public place. Okay, so you can pick any place you want. You probably want to clear it with me in some formal or informal way. But pick a place that has plenty of tech to observe. I guess don't go to an Amish farm, right? You see what I'm saying? We'll have a lot more to say about the notes next week, but you're going to want to take detailed, specific notes. If you're a really good, sort of tablet typer, fine. If you want to take a laptop, I've done those myself that way. A lot of people just handwrite. Okay, so these questions to observe or to consider as you observe, they're important, especially down here. Can you form a theory of how people use tech to shape social norms? You think about where eye contact goes when people are on their phone and also talking to other people, right? People face to face, or not so much face to face, but they also are on their phones. Well, people's attention can only be in one place, so you can kind of follow where their eyes are, that sort of thing. What does this say about people's priorities, the way they use their phones? Okay, I have a lot more to say about this, about sort of scaffolding an argument. Once we determine an observation site, once we develop a solid note-taking strategy, then the argument comes later. If you take good notes, you have many options for building a very successful argument. But step one is choosing a really good site. Step two is taking really detailed notes. I'd say an unofficial step three is making multiple visits. You can get away with one, but it better be one heck of a good observation. It better be rich and detailed and thick in its description. Otherwise, you might want to go back, because every time you observe, you get a little better at observing. Just like everything else, practice makes perfect. So your first time is probably not going to be your best time observing, taking notes, and knowing what you're looking for. So it's called the constant comparative method, if you want to know the sociological term for it. The more you get better at it, you compare what you did to what you are. It's constant and it's comparative. It's right there in the title. You compare your first notes to your second notes, and you see how you got better from one to the next. Constant comparative method. There's my very expensive grad school at work for you. Let's see. So there it is again. If you write a report about what you observed, you are not passing. Okay, so you got 3 chapters in your textbook to read, so make sure you read them. And then there's also some other things about observations. These are additional readings. They just will make you smarter. Anyway, you want to familiarize yourself with the assignment. You want to choose a really good observation spot. So, I mean, people choose all sorts of different observation sites if you want to be super fancy about it. Some of the libraries are very, very popular. Like I said, malls. So often what happens is it seems like 85% of you pick like Build and Village Mall, and then you all go on the same Saturday morning, and it just must be a very strange thing. I try to go that Saturday morning too. My kids have soccer or basketball usually in the mornings on Saturdays, but I have been able to go watch you observe my students observing, which is as weird as you might expect. It's a big public place. It's not a bad spot. It's not intrusive because people can kind of do anything there. If you go pick a tiny little mom and pop restaurant and you just don't tell anybody what you're doing, and you bring your notebook and you're just scribbling furiously while you're looking at like one family eating dinner, you can see the problem sort of inherent to that. So I'm very much here to help you choose a good site, to help you, complicate your understanding of what the goal of that site is, that sort of thing. So, as always, just involve me in your process, and you'll be in better shape than if you don't. Let's see. I'm your advisor. I'm supposed to remind you this at the top of every semester. Some semesters I'm better at it than others. But if you have any questions, I can be your point person for anything related to Stark State College. The whole point of College Credit Plus is that you have such a great time with me that you want to enroll at Stark State. So let me help you do that, please, please, please. Okay, so I'm going to come in about a minute sooner than I thought I would. Please, please, please email me, especially top of the semester. If anything's unclear, it's all clear to me because I've been really working on all these materials quite hard. If they're not clear to you, completely understandable. Send me an email, initiate a dialogue about anything and everything here. And I'll see you again in week 2, I guess. All right, thanks a lot. Here's to a great semester. Take care.